Hey, so I'm back. Yeah, I didn't leave you for like months on end for once. So sorry about the lighting in here, by the way. I've had to close the window. Either I keep that blind open and it's extremely bright, or I just have my light on, which only shines at that painting over there, and it's pretty dark. So this is the better option. Also, sorry if you can hear like a fan in the background. It is boiling. So yeah, that's not good. And sorry that I look like this. This is just what I normally look like, so yeah, just dressing gown and all. So yeah, so today what I thought I'd do is after I went to Alton Towers a couple of weeks back now, the last video was uploaded a couple of days ago, but it was a couple of weeks since I've been. But there I looked at some of the Scarefest stuff, and now Scarefest's been officially announced. It's actually happening, so that's good. And yeah, they've announced all the things that are going to be there, surprising amount of things that are actually going to be at Scarefest. A couple of them I predicted, I actually predicted that some of these things were actually going to be there when I did my look around at the towers and stuff. So yes, I'm just going to go through everything, give my thoughts and opinions on what's going to be there. So that's good. So just on the Alton Towers website now, and so first, I guess, should we go through the new stuff? I guess. So a week or so, I think, after I went, there were some containers brought into the park. I think it was August 10th, or August 7th, maybe. It was on like that weekend. And there were some containers brought into the park and put near the Goal Striker, now the Games Bunker arcade bit near the golf section, kind of near X Sector, just outside the towers. And they were the containers that were used for subspecies and for Darkest Depths. And so people were thinking, well, are they going to be moving subspecies there or doing something like that? But it turns out that's not the case, because subspecies is gone. It is not going to be there anymore. In fact, let's just talk about the mazes that aren't there anymore. Subspecies and Project 42 are now not going to be at Scarefest. My opinions on that: Subspecies, it's been there for 5 years. This would have been the 6th year if it was there. Personally, I think it was a very hit or miss maze. Sometimes the problem is, the gimmick of it is that it's a free roam maze. It's a very extreme maze, but also it's free roam. So normally with the Scare maze, you would go like on a linear path. You would go in on one kind of direction, and you'd be kind of guided through that. With Subspecies, it was a free roam maze. You were split up from people. You had to find your way out instead of actually just going along one direction. And so sometimes that would work. There was one instance that I've been in and it was really good. We were in there for like a good 10 minutes or so, and they the actors like guided us around really well, made us go around in circles and stuff, really kept us in there, which is good. And then there are some instances where I've been out really quickly, and it's not really as fun. Like, you can find your way out really easily sometimes. I remember the first time I went in, I was because you start off, spoiler alert by the way for the maze, there's going to be a lot of spoilers for mazes today possibly, by the way. When you start off in the maze, you start off in this corridor with a load of doors. You're put in front of a door, and then when the doors open, you go into the maze at different points. And when I went into the maze the first time, I was in a dark room, and I was really freaked out because it was just silent. There was nothing that I could see or hear. There were no members of the public there, no actors, and that area was just left completely empty. And so that's the problem. Sometimes the actors will be around and they'll be on alert and they'll be really good, and sometimes they won't in that maze because it's a very hard maze to control how it's going to go. So that's the problem. It's very hit or miss. I've had one really good run through, the other two, they weren't 100%. I mean, the chainsaw at the end is always good. And obviously this maze would be really difficult for social distancing. I thought if they could do subspecies, they could do any maze, because subspecies, they have to touch you to actually guide you around the maze. They have to get very close to you. And the problem is as well, is if you're going in different directions around the maze, you'll bump into other people. And so they can't really control people social distancing in there. So that is an issue. So subspecies is gone. They could bring it back at some point, but I think for now, due to social distancing, as I did say on my vlog, very hard to do social distancing, and it's just been there for a few years, and not exactly one of my favourites, to be honest. The other one's Project 42, and that one, I really liked it in its first year, but then last year, it wasn't as good, I don't think. It was probably, out of the mazes I did last year, it's probably my least favourite, unfortunately. That's just what I thought of it, to be honest. Just not as good, to be honest. It's only been there for 2 years, but to be fair, there's been other mazes that have been there for a short amount of time. I mean, the Welcoming was only there for 2 years, so it makes sense that they, move on. And plus the fact, considering that is a maze about a virus that breaks out and infects people, probably would rub a few people up the wrong way, considering we are in the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, probably would have been a bit insensitive, I would think. But I mean, I wouldn't have had a personal problem with it, but I can imagine people would have. So it makes sense that that one's not coming back. It's weird because at that site they've actually most of the stuff's still up for that, so I don't really know what they're going to do with that site. But I might talk about that a bit later with something else that they might be announcing. So yeah, anyway, so these containers, getting back to the containers, so people were wondering what they're going to be for. And it turns out they're going to be for the new maze, Freak Show Toxic Junkyard. So, bit of history on Freak Show. It came in 2016, not 100% sure, and it was a scare zone, which was in the walkway between Spinball Wizard and X Sector. So it's there's this green fencing that you walk past, and it was in this kind of little walkway between there where you had just like a load of different kind of pop-up stall things which had an actor at each one. And I never went into it because I didn't go to Scarefest that year when it was on. And but from what I've seen of it, it seemed, the things compared to other scare zones like Zombie Scare Zone, for example, that one seemed a little bit more immersive. I feel with this one it was very much, it just didn't really seem too scary. It didn't really seem too too interactive or anything. It was more just like a thing that you walk through. I watched some videos of it though recently, and it was really cool to see some of the props that they've reused. Like they reused the Carnival Screams entrance, they've like cut it in half and repainted a little bit of it. Looks like they used the Living Dummy box. There was a box that the Living Dummy used to be in from Carnival of Screams, which they've repainted again. Looks like there's a few different props from there, and it looks like some of them props actually might be coming back for this scare maze, because some people have seen them behind the scenes. I think after the Freak Show was a scare zone, they had it in 2018 as the car which they have for now. I think it's being used for the Alton Towers Traffic Patrol, is that it? But they had some of the Freak Show characters on that, and it was kind of like a portable Freak Show thing. Then it wasn't there last year, and then this year it's going to be a scare maze, which I think is a really good idea for it. I think it'll make it a lot scarier. I think it'll work really well. They could kind of do a mix of like Carnival Screams and Freak Show, so like a Carnival Screams style thing with the Freak Show branding, and I think it could really work. So here's on the website what they're saying about Freak Show. So Freak Show Toxic Junkyard promises to get the pulses racing as it joins the award-winning lineup of live-action mazes for thrill seekers. An outdoor maze, it will invite the foolhardy to venture into the Freak Show hidden den to discover the secret of the Psycho Clown's next big show. So that's really interesting. It sounds like it is going to be a scarier attraction. It is going to be an outdoor maze, which obviously because of the COVID stuff makes sense. Really good idea, I feel. And my idea with the storyline for it, so I listened to the soundtrack by Simon Allen. If you haven't seen Simon Allen, he's on YouTube. He's the guy who basically does a lot of the soundtracks for different scare mazes. So he's done Altonville, you should definitely listen to that one, that's a good one. He's done The Attic, beautiful soundtrack for that as well. He's done a few for the rides as well. He's done Jules' new soundtrack. He did the ones for Project 42, Darkest Depths, House of Monsters, I think he did as well. But he did Freak Show as well. He did the soundtrack for Freak Show. And most of the soundtrack is dialogue that was used when it was a scare zone. And it's interesting that part of that introductory bit had it mentions about the reason why these characters are so kind of twisted and demented, because they use this kind of toxic goo or something to make them into these weird, freaky characters. And so that's what I think this is going to be. And it says the secret of the the Psycho Clown's next big show, it's going to be this kind of toxic ooze stuff that transforms them into these weird things. And it makes sense with the kind of colour scheme of the maze as well. It was a lot of purples and greens, a lot of those kind of toxic colours. So yeah, so that should work hopefully. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really good maze. Hopefully, I'm really looking forward to it. As I say, I never really got to experience freak shows, so hopefully this will be a good first experience. I hope there will be some references to Carnival of Screams, because that is another maze which I thought was interesting. Never got to do it, but yeah, I hope it will be a really good maze. The other thing that's going to be new this year, which is just below the freak show bio, is in addition, older families, I don't really know that makes sense for this, but older families will be able to enjoy the gardens as never before with the brand new free attraction, Garden Lights Walk, Whispering Souls. So yeah, this is a free attraction, not a live scare maze, which I'm glad that they've now clarified that, because that wasn't on their website to begin with. And so with this, I don't really think it's going to be anything too big, simply because it's a free attraction, so they're not going to spend too much expenses on it. I think it's mainly going to be a light show. So it's going to have different lights, maybe projections, maybe some sound effects, some fog effects maybe, just to make the gardens look a little bit more Halloween-y, maybe. I don't think they're going to be live actors again, because it's a free attraction. They're probably going to want to use the actors in the paid mazes and stuff. And I don't think they're going to build anything, simply because of this whole thing about that they can't build anything in the gardens, because it's like a heritage site. What's it called? I can't remember what the names, but basically like where it's a protected, preserved site where they can't build or change anything. I think with the towers they get away with it because it's temporary stuff which they can take down if they need to. So I don't think they'll build anything in the gardens though. I think it's just going to be projections, light shows, just something nice. I'll probably go through still. It'll be a nice little thing if it's free. Absolutely, I'll go through. And yeah, should be a nice little thing that they go add. So that's the new stuff. There is something else, but I'll mention that at the end. But now I'll go through the stuff that is returning. Sorry, I'm doing this on my Xbox at the moment, so how I'm doing is my phone's resting against my TV, and then I've got my Xbox on the screen just on the Alton Towers website. So going to the spine-tingling terror section of the website, we can see what mazes are returning, because there are some returning mazes. I would have been happy if they just had one maze. I would have said if they had like the attic and darkest depths coming back, that would have been good enough. But even just like one maze, like just the attic or something, that would have been good. But no, they are bringing back a surprising amount. So yeah, they are bringing back the attic. That is coming back this year. Very excited about that. It's my favourite maze. I love it. I just think it's a beautiful maze. If you go to that maze, I would say a plan of Scarefest would be to, if you're going to do the mazes, do them at day and night, because with the queue lines they look different, obviously at day and night, and it gives you a bit more chance to do the mazes a bit more often. Obviously if you have the money, of course, you know. I understand if some people won't want to. Especially with the attic, do that one at night, because they have a blackout curtain for the indoor bit of the queue line to keep that the same lighting all the time, but outside at night in the conservatory and stuff, it's beautiful. They have a beautiful blue lighting that really, it's just lovely, honestly. And I say the maze itself, the set design, the costume design, the lighting, the effects, they're just beautiful. I think it's a really beautiful maze, really good maze. Not the scariest maze, I don't think, but yeah, I just think it's a great maze, really. It's really good, really surprised me, and glad it's coming back for this year. I'd like to see what they change as well, see if they do anything different. The other maze that is coming back, as I did mention, Darkest Depths, that one is also coming back. I presume if the containers are being used for Freak Show though, they could just build some new bits. I can imagine they could do that, as long as they have the props and stuff. They could rebuild it slightly, maybe even make it a little bit more open to help with social distancing. That would be good. But yeah, Darkest Depths, a surprisingly scary maze for a kids' maze. I think was it 10 plus, and then did they have to move it to 12? I can't remember, but yeah, it's a surprisingly scary maze. Because with House of Monsters, for example, from what I saw from that looked really kid friendly. So I thought Darkest Depths was going to be the same, but it is basically like a normal scare maze, but the theming is a little bit more kid-friendly. But it's still got some good scares in it and stuff, certainly. The only thing I would say with Darkest Depths was, ironically is a bit dark. It's a bit hard to see with the lighting sometimes, and maybe they could change the lighting a bit. And at some bits near the end of the maze, it was the opposite problem, which was that a little bit of light was coming in from outside. So I might try that maze at night as well and see how that one works with the maze. Just to see if not as much light's let in and stuff. But yeah, really excited to see that. They probably will have to change the layout of it a bit. But yeah, I'm happy to see that one again. Now, one that I'm very excited about, because I didn't know whether this one was going to be coming back, and I did predict this in my vlog, and even though the vlog came out after this announcement, it was filmed on August 1st, which means it was before the announcement. I predicted this. Altonville Mine Tours, yes, is coming back. So yeah, this is the first maze I ever did. Scariest maze, in my opinion, even scarier than Subspecies. I find this one terrifying. It's just really claustrophobic. The smoke effects, I mean, that is one of the problems of the maze. It's sometimes very hard to see because of how dark and how smoky it is. I remember one time I went through and it was right at the end. I thought I'd gone down one of the rat runs, which is one of the access ways that scare actors use to get through different parts of the maze, because it was so kind of bland and I couldn't see anything. But I think it was just that there was so much smoke effects and so much lighting, I couldn't, it was just like complete blur at the end bit, but then eventually I got out of the maze. So that is one of the problems, but I still love the maze. The atmosphere is creepy, the sound effects, the music, and I think the fact that the actors wear masks, I weirdly think when they're humanoid, it's not as scary. Like Subspecies, that's what made it less scary. The Attic, same kind of thing. But with Altonville, they wear the skin mask and it makes them look creepy. So yeah, I like that. And the whole thing with the torch, again, spoiler, but the gimmick of this maze is that you wear a headlamp, or 3 people from the group are picked to wear a headlamp, and I've worn it and been at the front of the group, and the idea of it is when you go past the sensor in the maze, the lamp will go off at certain points. And an example of this, yeah, I was at the front of the group with a headlamp on, and I saw a skin snatcher at the end of the corridor, walked forward, the lamp went off, and he ran at me. And it's really effective. It's really effective, really scary. And I'm very glad that this maze is coming back, because I've done it for 2 years now. And I know it's been going, this will be its 5th year now. And I know it's been going for a while, but I just want one more year with it. I think next year I'll be happy. I'll probably next year say that I want it back. But I think next year I'll be happy to see it go. But I just want one more year, just like some proper goodbyes and just go through the maze again. The one thing I will say is I think they do need to change the layout a little bit, even though I can't even remember the layout, because that's the thing, it's so disorientating. But I think some people have been saying that they want like a better ending to it, which yeah, I could agree with, because last year it was the shop, the Altonville gift shop that they had. The year before that, I think it was like a sheriff chases you out or something at the end. But yeah, maybe a little bit of a change of the layout. Maybe I think they need to make it a bit less foggy so you can see a few things, just to appreciate the maze a bit more. Because that's the thing about the Attic, you can see everything and you can appreciate everything. I can remember the layout of the Attic. Altonville, I don't. It's just like a load of corridors and I can't really remember. I've actually been in behind the scenes of both of these mazes, and with Altonville, there are so many things that you miss. When I've been with the lights on, there are so many things, and it's a shame that you can't see them when you're in the maze normally. So maybe they could change that, but I'm happy to see it back. I'm guessing the next time I'll go, there'll hopefully be some more construction on that. But it's confirmed to be back, and I'm so happy with that. And I feel like I've got more than I could have ever expected, so that's good. Another thing it does say on the website is the Alton Towers dungeons, and it says, as Scarefest descends on the towers, enter the Alton Towers dungeons for a little less laughing and a lot more screaming. Will you be found guilty by the Bishop of Stafford, survive a visit to the Plague Doctor, and make it out to the Witch of Bursland's cottage? Enter the Alton Towers dungeons this Halloween as we celebrate the most hideously horrible time of the year with your delightful peasant screams, if you dare. Now, it says there's going to be more, less laughing, more screaming. I went through last year and they had this exact same quote, and there was nothing different at all. The actual dungeons were the same. There was nothing different. It wasn't like Dungeon Late, which I've never done, but I can imagine that they're much more adult, much more scary. There was nothing different. And I've been through the dungeons quite a few times, so I know pretty much if there was anything different. Nothing different at all. And I went through a few times, I think, last Scarefest. Nothing had changed on the inside. The outside, though, they had this thing called Plague Street, which is basically in the queue line. They had actors roaming around. So they had a guy actually in a Plague Doctor, kind of with the Plague Doctor mask, like the bird beak mask thing, which is pretty creepy. And some other actors just going around and yeah, scaring people in the queue, which is pretty cool. Which was fun. It was a nice bit more interaction. And yeah, just made it a bit more fun. So, but in the actual dungeons themselves, they didn't change anything. So it would be nice if they did do something new, a little bit more scarier in the actual dungeons. But considering social distancing as well, that might still be a bit harder. So I'd understand. I just wish they wouldn't say that it's going to be scarier when it's not. Like, I get the outside bit being scary, but actually if you're going to do it, if you're going to say you're going to do it. Like, make it a bit scarier in some way. I would say a way to make it scarier. Maybe send people in single groups. I mean, it would make it a bit longer, make it a bit harder to do, you know. But if I went through the dungeons on my own, I would be scared. Seriously. I mean, last time I went on the boat ride, and I was on my own, and it was much scarier, weirdly. Even though I knew what was coming, I knew all the jump scares that were coming, it was still scarier, weirdly. And it worked, and it was really cool. So I can imagine going through the whole dungeons like that. That would be cool, and that would make it scarier. So maybe, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. I'll probably go through at least maybe once. Probably not every time I go, but maybe once at least, just to see if they have changed anything. But yeah, so that's all the kind of adult-y stuff. I'll just double check the kids stuff. Obviously, there's riding in the dark still. That's still a thing that's gonna be there. They also do. Make it clear on here as well that at the time of recording, Scare Maze tickets are not currently available. They will be released on our website soon. I think that will be when they maybe drop a trailer for Scarefest, maybe for Freak Show Toxic Junkyard. If they do a trailer, they will probably release the tickets then. But for now, they're waiting and seeing. Actually, just while I'm on this page as well, I'll just talk about how we're going to manage to do social distancing in the other mazes. Because I think, so Freak Show Toxic Junkyard, that's going to be outside. That'll be fine, I think. I think they're going to mainly specifically build it to go around social distancing, so they could do that easily. Darkest Depths, I think they can change it to do that. It's based in the Mutiny Bay courtyard. So, yeah, they could easily try and do that social distancing. Maybe even do a few bits open air. I don't know. The Attic, I think it is one of the more spacious mazes, so I think they could do that a little bit more socially distanced, and I think it could work. I think that one could work. The only one I'm thinking of is Altonville Mine Tours. I don't know how they're going to do that one socially distanced. It'll be very interesting to see. I think what they might do with all the mazes is limit the capacity by a lot, and I think it might actually be that they put in single groups at a time. Like I mentioned with the dungeons, what they could do, I think with the mazes they're going to do that, because the mazes, while the dungeons is a 45-minute attraction and it makes sense to put groups in there of more than one family group, I think with scare mazes are usually about 5 to 10 minutes long each. I think if they put a single family group in at a time, it can work. And that means I would be going through the mazes on my own, because I'm normally a single rider, single visitor. So that would be exciting. I think the one maze I would be scared of is Altonville. It's the one maze I've always said I'll be scared of going through on my own. You know, I went through subspecies on my own at times. The Welcoming I went through on my own. I went through, I think they're the only, Project 42. I was at the front of Project 42, but I never went through on my own. But to go through on my own, it would be a new experience, and I think it would help with the social distancing. Obviously, the actors aren't going to be able to touch you, I don't think. I think if they can keep the social distancing, though, that could work. Altonville's going to be harder because it's such an enclosed, claustrophobic maze. I think a good idea for that would be, though, obviously they'll probably get guests to wear masks, but I think with the skin snatchers in there, if they all wear their skin masks, they could easily wear a black face mask under that, and you wouldn't see it. It would just look like a black open mouth. And that would work. I think that would really work quite well. So, and then with the attic, it might detract a little bit more if they're all wearing face masks, but I would be happy for them to do it, and I think they can still make it a really scary experience. I mean, with the Alton Towers dungeons, they all wear masks and it works, and it's fine. It's a little bit harder to hear them, but still works pretty well. So yeah, but I think they'll be able to do it. I really do. Hopefully we don't go back into lockdown, though. You can go into lockdown after October, that's fine. Just let me experience Scarefest. Please. Thank you. So, to the Halloween Spooktacular. That's the section, okay. That's what we're calling it. In this section, so yeah, there's the Gardens Light Walk, which I mentioned. The CBeebies Land Monster Ball, which dress up in your favourite costume and join the CBeebies characters live in big fun showtime as they dance, play games, and learn all about spooky things. Featuring Bing, Ubercorn, really? Okay. Peter Rabbit, and many more of your favourite CBeebies friends. Ubercorn, really? Is that seriously actually a character? Okay. So that's going to be a meet and greet thing, probably. Again, they could probably do that socially distanced, and that'll be fine. So that'll be great. Then the Freaky Fun Zone. This is with kind of like the main Alton Towers characters that they have, the kids characters. Ready to get spookalicious? Join our 5 super freaky Halloween characters in their mind-blowingly multicoloured playground on the front lawns. Enjoy spooktacular shows, meet and greets, and photo opportunities, and more. Join Patch's Halloween party, it's bigger and better than ever, and hear ghostly tales from spooky Skelvin. Then help Gretel make her magic spells and discover everything Phil and Franklin learnt at school. So much fun, it's scary. So that's the main stage show that's normally, as they say, on the front lawns with the different characters. So it's good that they're still doing that for the kids. That'll be great. And then the final thing is the Alton Ancestors. These like the dance people. Some people have been saying that maybe they might be in the gardens too. They could do that very easily. I don't know whether they will, but it's an option that they could use them there for the Garden Lights walk. But yeah, so just to read the description of that as well. Hear that scraping sound? It's the gravestones being moved. The Alton Ancestors are back from the dead and in their favourite haunts. Standing still is not an option, so celebrate Halloween by learning their dance moves and joining in. So yeah, again, it's just they do dance show things and then sometimes a few kind of meet and greet things. And yeah, it's a nice little thing that they do around the park. Nice little bit of entertainment. So that is all the attractions so far listed on the website. However, there has been a rumour. That's right, there has been a rumour that there is going to be one more maze announced. I didn't know anything about this, but from other people's videos, they've all been saying there is another secret maze coming to be announced. Now, the only... it's people saying in the Alton Towers press release or something that they've mentioned it, and that it's going to be revealed later on. And maybe that's when they might release the Scarefest tickets. Maybe there'll be a trailer or something for either Freak Show, Toxic Junkyard, or for this new maze, maybe. But the only thing I managed to find on this is on some people who've covered the press release on a website. And this is the only website where I've found it mentioned. There might be another website, please link it in the comments because I really want to see this. But where I've seen it mentioned, this is the website Manchester Evening News. Yeah. And yeah, Manchester. For some reason I looked in the hyperlink to see that when there's actually a title on the top. Right. And the article is called Alton Towers Reveal Plans for Scarefest 2020 plus Massive New Event, which is also relating to Oktoberfest, which really, does anyone really care about it? I'm sorry, but I mean, it looks interesting, but yeah, I mean, Rides in the Dark, that's nice, but you can go later at Scarefest, like, it's a few new foods and stuff. Not that interested in it. I'm not going to be going. I forgot that it was on and accidentally booked my next ticket for the weekend before, and so but I can't change that because I can't get a refund and change it. And I just thought, fuck it, I really can't be asked to change that, so I'm not going. But yeah, I'll tell you the dates when I'm going, by the way, just to let you know. If anyone's interested and want to see me and have a photo, no, nobody even knows that I exist. So Yeah, I mean, by the way, if you do see me and you do want a photo, I do not mind whatsoever, but I think that's very unlikely to happen, and very egotistical of me to think that's going to happen. Anyway, so this article, there is a bit which says about Freak Show, and then the next paragraph, it might hint towards this new maze. I'll just read it for you. So, the new Freak Show Toxic Junkyard promises to get pulses racing as it joins the lineup of live-action scare mazes for thrill seekers. An outdoor maze, it will invite guests to venture into the Freak Show hidden den to discover the secret of the Psycho Clown's next big show. Next paragraph says, and the new scare maze, which is set to be fully unveiled later this summer, is the latest addition to the theme park's lineup of scare mazes, which will be completed in time for the event. Now, it depends on how you read that, because it's a separate paragraph, it's not in the same paragraph. You could either read that as the new scare maze that will be fully unveiled later this summer as a new scare maze, or it's carrying on from the Freak Show paragraph saying, and the new scare maze, because it doesn't say a new scare maze, it says the new scare maze, which suggests that it's relating to Freak Show and the new scare maze, Freak Show Toxic Junkyard, which is set to be fully unveiled later this summer, because it hasn't been fully unveiled. We've seen logos, we've seen a description, we haven't seen a trailer or anything, so it technically hasn't been fully unveiled yet, so it could still be talking about Freak Show, and it is the latest addition to the theme park's lineup of scare mazes, it is. So, I don't know about whether this is people have been misinterpreting it and they think it's a new scare maze, or if it is going to be a new secret scare maze. But there have been, I think there were rumours before it was announced that it was going to be a new scare maze, so that another one added. So that's why I'm kind of inclined more to think that there will be another one, and I'm just greedy, and I want another scare maze. Now, I have had a few theories on this. I have a few theories, which have kind of been disproven because people said that in the press release it said a new scare maze. So, because what my theory was that the one place they could use is the Project 42 area, the Nemesis Subterra area, that building. And there must be this is me getting into my conspiracy head thinking. So, they haven't announced this maze yet. That means there must be something special about it, right? And the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of something special about a maze is, what if it's a maze that they're bringing back? So, Alton Towers have normally said, I remember I went to the Towers Times event, Scare Mazing, it was last year, 2019, and someone asked, are they ever going to bring the Sanctuary back? And they said no, which could have been a lie. Because I know people like me who haven't experienced some of them old scare mazes would love to see them back. And so it would be quite a big thing if Alton Towers were to bring a maze back and bring some mazes back over the years. And so I thought maybe this is what they could be doing, possibly. Now that is debunked by the fact that they do say a new maze, which is true. But I want to dream, alright? I want to dream. So if they were going to do this in the Project 42 area, I was thinking about what maze it could be. Well, Carnival of Screams it wouldn't be, because they're already doing Freak Show, and they're using parts of that anyway, and it's another clown maze. Sanctuary, it's in the towers, and that area is being used for both the Attic and Altonville, I believe. Or at least Altonville, I know the exit's around there for that. Welcoming, Darkest Depths has already taken over that area. Haunting of Molly Crow, Altonville's taken over that area. There is Field of 1,000 Screams, that was another one. They could do that, but that wouldn't be in the Project 42 building, that would be in a field, so that could be an option. I'm trying to think of it. I don't think there's any others that I'm missing. So the only other option that's available is the Boiler House, which I think would be a brilliant maze if they were going to bring it back. It would be one that wasn't amazingly remembered, I don't think, because obviously the Sanctuary, that was related to the Smiler, that's remembered. I think Carnival Screens is mainly remembered, but Boiler House isn't one that I really hear many people mention, and it looked like it was an amazing, it was a really, pardon the pun, but an amazing maze. It looked really good, and it's one that isn't one of the big ones, and so it's kind of a smaller one that they could bring back. Would suit the Project 42 building, the Nemesis Subterra building. That kind of industrial feel thing. They could redress it to look like a boiler house or something. And I think it would just be a really cool maze to bring back, and it would be the reason why they're keeping it a secret. because it's this big thing of them. Because they can bring back one maze, they could bring back any maze over the years. Think about that. If they had a load of new mazes, and every year or so they brought back a previous one, I'd love to see the Sanctuary back. I'd love to see Carnival Screens back, Boiler House. All these mazes, I would love to see them bring back, so new people can experience them. So that's my conspiracy theory anyway. It could just be a new maze. And that's even if this is going to be a thing. I don't know. But there have been a lot of people theorising about it. If they're going to do it, I think it will be in the Subterra building. That makes sense. It's really the only place I can think of them doing a maze. But yeah, we'll just have to see. We will just have to see. Overall, I'm really excited for this. This has got me really, really excited for the event because I didn't think they were going to be able to do this much stuff. So, fingers crossed it's going to be good. It's going to be a really good event. Now, in regards to when I'm going, so my next visit to Alton Towers is going to be September 5th. So I'll do some more recording of the Scarefest preparations, my vlog of the day normally, and yeah, what mazes they're preparing for. Go and see if I can film anything. They have, near the attic, from other vlogs that I've seen, they've removed the bench, which means you can get a little bit closer to the curtain now, so that's good. But yeah, it'll just be really good to see what they're preparing for. Then, in regards to when I'm going to Scarefest, I have booked my tickets now, so it is confirmed that I'm going. It's just whether I can get the maze tickets. Hopefully I can, fingers crossed. I will be going on October 10th, so that'll be opening weekend. It'll be the Saturday. So Friday's opening day. The Saturday I'll be going on the 10th for a day, so that's just for the day on my own. And then I am actually doing a stay at Alton Towers. I'm going to be staying in the Smiler Room because I just thought I'd treat myself months ago. Turns out my bank account doesn't really agree, but oh well. So I'm going to be going on the 24th and the 25th of October for the weekend. So yeah, so I'll be going once at the start, once at the end. I can see how things have changed. Get to do the mazes a lot. I'll probably do them day and night just to see, just to be able to get through them as much as I can. And yeah, if you do want to look out for me, I won't necessarily look like this. I will actually be going in a certain costume, possibly a little hint right there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to try and keep it a bit of a surprise. But yeah, it should look pretty good, hopefully. Because people, I think, normally think, because I normally wear a long black coat wherever I go, and people just think that's a costume. It's not. That's just what I normally wear. But yeah, I will be doing like a proper costume thing. Might even do a tutorial on me doing it. I don't know. Do you want to see a tutorial of me putting on my costume? I don't know. Maybe like a little makeup tutorial. Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, that's pretty much all to do with Scarefest. I will probably update if there's anything new. Maybe I should even do like a reaction to if they do a trailer or something. That'd be good. Yeah, might do that. So, yeah, that's all really. Thanks for anyone, by the way, who watched my vlog. So far it's got, at the time of recording, it's got 9 views, I think, which is great. It's better than the fucking Minecraft ones I've done. My second Minecraft video didn't even get any views, so yeah, that's fun. But yeah, I hope maybe this Alton Towers content, you know, it might be a good direction to go. Because it's easier content for me to record as well, which is good. So yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye. Bye.